Alright, so when I met Elon Musk 5 years ago, not that many people knew who he was. And out of the people who did, many of them thought he was crazy and would never succeed.
See, Tesla's an electric vehicle maker, and I think this space is all sizzle. You don't want to own this stock. You don't want to lease it. Heck, you shouldn't even rent the darn thing.
You know, there are American heroes who don't like this idea. Neil Armstrong, Gene Cernan have both testified against commercial spaceflight in the way that you're developing it.
I was very sad to see that because those guys are, those guys are heroes of mine, so it's really tough.
You can see the Teslas is just shooting up there, and it has now overtaken Ford, is on its way to overtaking GM. How is this possible, David?
It's just sitting there. Look at that. What? Holy smokes, man.
Now, in my opinion, seeing this man prove every single doubter wrong one by one while building businesses that actually make a difference is slowly turning him into the greatest entrepreneur of all time. And when I first met him, he left me with some advice that left me scratching my head for a couple of years. Alright, so when I was 18, I started my first company and I got into the pilot program of this new school for entrepreneurs called Draper University. It was a crazy month-long boot camp on how to start your startup. Now, Tim Draper, who started the school, is one of the biggest venture capitalists in the world. He's also one of the biggest and first investors in two of Elon Musk's companies, Tesla and SpaceX. And so he got the 40 students of his new school invited at the Tesla factory for the launch of the Tesla Model S, which ended up being voted as one of the greatest cars ever created. I was blown away. It truly felt like a place that had an opportunity to change the world. So he finally arrives after we got the tour, and we get to ask him some questions. The one person asks him, as an established entrepreneur, what advice would he have for all the young people here trying to start off? Now, as a naive 18-year-old, I was hoping I would get the most inspirational speech about breaking boundaries and changing the world and just tackling industries that no one's ever dared to tackle. But instead, we got a brutally honest Elon answer.
I think it's very difficult to start companies and quite painful. I mean, there's a friend of mine who's got a good phrase for doing a startup. It's like eating glass and staring into the abyss. If you're sort of wired to do it, then you should do it, but not otherwise. Let me put it this way: if you need inspiring words, don't do it.
Alright, see, you get what I mean, right? It's a little underwhelming, and maybe I just think it's cool today because Elon said it. But for me, the journey didn't end there. See, at first I was honestly a little frustrated and slightly confused by his answer because I felt like he could have done a better job at inspiring all the young people here to start their own projects. But it wasn't until 2 years later, after my first company failed and I had to close down the operation and tell every single person that had trusted me up until that point that it just wasn't going to work out, that I fully understood what he meant. The day we shut down, what he said popped back into my head, and I realized 3 things that day. First, being an entrepreneur has kind of been glorified in movies and TV shows when for the most part running a company kind of sucks. Many of us aren't ready for it or are more interested in the idea of being an entrepreneur rather than actually wanting to put in the work to become one. Second, his advice kind of served as a poser filter, standing in front of a group of 50 people all saying they want to be entrepreneurs, while the truth is most of us probably weren't suited for it or ready for it. And so if you're discouraged by someone telling you not to do it, then you probably weren't meant to do it in the first place. And finally, for anyone that is truly driven, this should only fuel you with more motivation. He knows that he just motivated the real entrepreneurs in the group to prove him wrong. But he also knows that he just did you a favor, because when you're going to be struggling, when your startup is going to be all over the place and everything's going to feel hopeless, you're going to remember, man, Elon warned me. Now, I want to put out a dream I've had out into the universe, because when Elon was at a conference, he said this.
There's a sort of a philosophic concept that a sufficiently advanced civilization will be able to create a simulation. Yeah. Maybe you've answered this before? A simulation.
I've had so many simulation discussions, it's crazy.
Okay. So, because
in fact, it got to the point where basically every conversation was the AI/simulation conversation. And my brother and I finally agreed that we would ban such conversations if we were ever in a hot tub. Okay. That was like...
Now, to me, that actually sounds pretty damn awesome. Simulation theory and AI is something I would love to discuss with Elon Musk in a hot tub. Specifically, I just don't think anyone has thought about the topics at a depth that can match his. So, Mr. Elon Musk, we live in Venice Beach, which is very close to Hawthorne, where SpaceX is based. So, This is an open invitation to go find a hot tub together and go discuss AI and simulation theory. What do you say? Alright, so on another note, a lot of you have been asking, how did we learn how to edit, how did we learn how to make videos, and how did we learn how to start a business? I learned how to edit just a few years ago through online resources. There's so many of them and sometimes it can just get overwhelming. So where do you go to learn all this stuff? There's this one website that I've been using for a few months now and that we love called Skillshare. They're honestly pretty damn amazing. They have over 17,000 classes in any topic that you could possibly think of. I really think it's important to learn from people that actually know what they're talking about, and they have some of the brightest people in the world teach the different classes. So if you're into marketing, they have the best in the world like Seth Godin and Gary Vaynerchuk teach the topic. If you're into filmmaking, there's an amazing course on how to get started with editing. And so we actually connected with Skillshare and they accepted to give 250 of you 2 months of free trial. So only the first 250 of you that actually click on the link in the bio. The best part is, if you don't like it, you can just cancel at any moment with no risk, but if you do want to continue using it, it's only $10 a month. I would hurry up if I were you, click the link in the description, I've already claimed mine, and just go explore. Pick some new classes. Maybe pick up a topic that you've never thought about learning before. That might be the most exciting one. On another note, I will see you on Sunday.